we can move on to the next petition and the last one on today's agenda. This is item 10, petition 1132/2023 by an Italian citizen on Parma Airport extension project in Italy. The petitioner is connected remotely. I would like to welcome him, and he has 5 minutes. Thank you.
Buongiorno, grazie Presidente.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Chair. I have a PowerPoint. I've already sent it in to the Secretariat, so I'd really appreciate it if you could put it on the screen. Thank you very much. So we're looking at the Parma International Airport Development Plan 2018-2025. I'll be going through the project description. I'll be telling you what, in my view, in the view of the other signatories, think they are the environmental concerns, and we'll also be talking about state aid concerns. Next slide. Thank you. So the proposal is to increase the length of the runway from 2,124 meters to 2,640 meters. What does this mean? This means that we'll be able to go from ICAO Class C to ICAO Class A. So we're talking about maximum takeoff weight, which is higher, with takeoff fuel consumption of 2,400 kilos that's what we have now, to takeoff fuel consumption that is 3 times higher, 6,000 kilos per hour. So at the moment, none of the activities outside the current airport grounds have been planned. So this means that that there could be developments. So environmental concerns. Now, the Parma airport is in the Po Valley, and the Po Valley is one of the most polluted areas in Europe. In fact, the European Court of Justice has already found against Italy twice, in 2020 because of PM10 excess limit values, and in 2022 because NOx values were exceeded. So increasing the size of aircrafts threefold is a plan that I think goes in the wrong direction. And also it flies in the face of what the mayor of Parma signed. I'm referring to the Climate City contract within the EU mission Climate Neutral and Smart Cities that includes Parma as one of the 100 pilot cities. Next slide, please. Now, on state aid. The Italian Ministry of Transport has allocated 12 million euro in state aid, but has only dispersed part of that. In fact, 2.7 million for phase 1, and this is for activities within the airport. So we have Article 56A of the Commission Regulation number 651/2014, which says that for airports that are less than 100 kilometers from another bigger airport, Bologna in this case, can only get state aid if the airport that is supposed to get it has less than 200,000 passengers per year in the 2 years before the request and the 2 years subsequent, or rather the 2 years after the start of the new operations. But the airport hasn't started operating on the basis of the new data, so we don't have any information there. But I have a question that I'd like to put on the table. Why should we need to ask for public money to develop, in inverted commas, if I may put it that way, the airport to remain under 200,000 passengers a year, when between 2008 and 2011, the number of passengers at this airport was between 250,000 to 290,000. So next slide. This is about the split of passengers per year by aircraft, but we don't have So if we take these figures, 240,000 passengers is the number we have, so higher than the limit enshrined in the regulation. Next slide, please. We have another table here. So we had passengers, and now I've given you totals just to make it easier. In the first 2 years, the total number of passengers will be over 200,000. So you can see first 2 years of new operations above 200,000 passengers. Next table, we have traffic data used for noise evaluation. And here we have a different situation to before. And if we use this to calculate passengers, we actually see the number soar to 440,000, so 2.2 times the EU limit for receiving state aid. Last slide. Now, conclusions. No one knows the real objective value of passengers per year, but in all 3 cases, we find that the figure is above what is in the regulation. And let me say that the chairman of the airport management company himself officially said in the conference of group leaders of the Parma City Council, and I've given you a copy of the newspaper article attached to the petition, he said that the real goal is actually to have more than 1 million passengers. That's 5 times more than the limit stated in the Commission regulation. So according to me and those who signed it, this is not fair and flies in the face of EU law. And last but not least, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Ahora le pasaría la palabra.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give the floor to the European Commission. We have someone from ENVI, Filippo Mattioli.
Thank you to the petitioners. The Commission has taken good note of the information provided by the petitioners to this committee, and once analyzed in detail across all relevant services, will send a written communication setting out the conclusions reached. In the meantime, let us address the specific concerns raised by the petitioner as regards air quality. Given the public health concerns linked to air pollution, improving air quality is one of the European Commission's most important environmental priorities. The Ambient Air Quality Directive requires member states to ensure that throughout their zones and agglomerations, EU air quality standards are met and that limit values set for nitrogen dioxide, NO2, particulate matter, PM10, and fine particulate matter, PM2.5, amongst others, are not exceeded. Where these limit values are exceeded, the directive also requires member states to prepare and implement air quality plans and measures so that the exceedance periods are kept as short as possible. Since 2005, the emissions of air pollutants across the EU have decreased, and the number of air quality zones in exceedance of the daily limit value for PM10, for instance, has dropped from 145 in 2014 to 65 in 2022. However, the Commission is still very concerned about persistent exceedances of these EU air quality standards in certain zones in Europe. As the petitioners correctly state, the Parma airport is located in air quality zone IT 0892, Emilia-Romagna, Pianura Ovest, Western Plain. The Italian authorities have reported exceedances of the daily limit values of PM10 in this air quality zone since 2008. The latest reported value for this zone is that of 2022, in which 75 days of exceedances of the daily limit value were reported. The limit value is set at 35 days of permitted exceedances of 50 micrograms per cubic meter. This is the limit value set in the directive. This air quality zone, together with other air quality zones, in particular in the Po Valley region in Italy, is part of an infringement case regarding persistent exceedances of particulate matter. In 2014, the European Commission launched an infringement procedure, as the petitioners have also mentioned, against the Italian Republic for having systematically and persistently exceeded the limit values for PM10 in several air quality zones across Italy, and for not having ensured that appropriate measures be taken to keep those exceedances as limited in time as possible. The Court of Justice of the EU upheld the Commission's position in case C64418 on 10th of November 2020, ruling that Italy had failed to meet its obligations under the Ambient Air Quality Directive. The Commission is following closely the execution of the Court's judgment by the Italian authorities, assessing the measures put in place to bring the exceedances of these pollutants to an end. To the Commission's knowledge, the region of Emilia-Romagna is in the process of adopting a new air quality plan with the overall aim to achieve the air quality standards by 2030. The Commission wishes to inform the European Parliament and the petitioners that it is in contact with the Italian authorities also with regards to the measures put in place by Italy to bring the exceedances of nitrogen dioxide to an end, in line with the Court's judgment in case C573 of 2019. With regard to the state aid concerns, according to the information reported by the Italian authorities, the aid in question was granted in 2019. From a preliminary assessment based on publicly available data from the Ente Nazionale per l'Aviazione Civile, the Italian Civil Aviation Authority, the passenger numbers in years 2017-2021 have remained significantly below the 200,000 threshold. Therefore, on the basis of this preliminary assessment, the Commission services have no indication that the requirements about the expected traffic within the 2 years following the granting of the aid or the traffic in the 2 years preceding the granting of the aid has not been met. In conclusion, the Commission takes note of the information provided by the petitioners and will provide a complete answer addressing all issues raised during this committee in writing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peter Jahr, EPP.
Ja, vielen Dank an den Petenten und vielen Dank an die Kommission.
Well, thank you so much to the petitioner, to the Commission. I believe it needs to be kept open, this petition, because the Commission shares the opinions held by the petitioner. And since we don't have this reply in writing yet, and we need to look into this in further depth, I think we need to keep this open. And then another thing that I always worry about in the case of airports, it's not so much the issues related. Look at the economic advantages. Look at Frankfurt, Munich airports in Berlin. But we have a lot of regional airports in Germany which have been built with European funding, but they were basically not economically viable. And you got problems with the environment, so the petition is to be kept open. We need to wait for the reply of the Commission and for the petitioners as an encouraging signal. I think the Commission shares the reservations tabled by the petitioner. Thank you. Rosa D'Amato.
Grazie, Presidente.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the petitioner for presenting this case. This is the umpteenth attempt to deal with this, but if this goes forward, it will be another case of serious pollution that's been happening for years in one of the most polluted areas in the EU. The petitioner talked about PM, particulate matter 10, limit values being exceeded, and the fact that the Court of Justice found against Italy, and the state aid data given by the petition, of course, are not the same. It's not the same information as that provided by the Italian authorities. And it's very clear that that Article 56 of Regulation 651/2011 is being flouted on, I'm referring to state aid. So I hope that this petition will be taken on board. I believe the petition has to stay open, and if possible, I'd like to ask the chair to write to the Infrastructure and Transport Ministry of Italy on behalf of this committee, highlighting these contradictions and this incongruous approach that has also now been confirmed by the European Commission. And we also look forward to getting a written reply by the European Commission so that we can have a clearer view of what's happening.
Floor to the petitioner for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Grazie ancora, Presidente.
Thank you very much. I fully agree with what the European Commission representative said. I agree that it's important to adopt provisions to reduce pollution. I'd be happy to see that projects that would actually worsen the environmental situation shouldn't get the green light. I'd be happy with just that. Now, when it comes to passenger calculations, obviously they didn't go it didn't go further than 200,000 passengers because the operations haven't started. Those who want to invest have an estimate for the first 2 years of the new airport, but otherwise they could get the green light, not do anything for 2 years, and then they'd be able to do whatever they wanted. So, thank you very much for saying that you're going to keep the petition open. This will give the European institutions the opportunity to protect the right that Parma citizens have to live in an environment that isn't polluted, and the right that all Italian citizens have, i.e. that public money isn't used in this way. Thank you very much.
Grazie a lei.
Thank you very much, sir.
De haberle escuchado a usted, a la...
Thank you very much. After listening to you and what the other MEPs said, we'll keep it open. We've heard from the Commission. It was very clear, but we'd really appreciate getting this down in writing, because then we'll be able to take this forward. Thank you very much. Rosa D'Amato.
Well, actually, as a committee, could we write to the Italian Ministry of Transport? Okay. Well, once we get the written reply from the Commission, we will send a letter to the Minister of Transport. Fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. I think this brings this afternoon's meeting to a close, and we'll see each other again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.